Hello Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, and welcome to your reading. So Virgo, today we're going to go over your energy as well as your person's energy. We're going to see how the both of you are currently viewing this relationship and how you guys feel about it and what actions you guys plan on taking each other's direction and are moving forward. So with all that being said, Virgo, let's get started. How does Virgo currently view this relationship? So we do have the Page of Wands out here. Okay. We also have the 10 of Swords, and then we also have the 9 of Pentacles. For some of you, you could be dealing with another Virgo, possibly a Gemini, maybe even a Sagittarius. Doesn't necessarily have to be the case, but I want to focus on this 10 of Swords energy. It kind of looks like something recently came to an end. I do want to look at what exactly recently came to an end in your life, because whatever it is that recently came to an end in your life, it kind of looks like it's something that you're pretty happy about. To be completely honest, Virgo, you're pretty happy about. So whatever this thing is that essentially came to an end, it's definitely something that you wanted to essentially come to an end, is basically what I'm getting, especially with that Page of Wands energy. Page of Wands could definitely represent an energy of excitement, could represent, you know, somebody who feels like they have a lot to look forward to now, is basically what I'm getting. But I feel like the only reason why you're harnessing this energy has a lot to do with whatever this thing is that recently came to an end in your life. You find yourself definitely in a much better place, I would say, mentally, spiritually, as well as emotionally, because of whatever this thing is, I guess, that, you know, recently came to an end. So let's look at that 10 of Swords energy. Tell me more about the 10 of Swords. Okay. So we have the Knight of Pentacles. We do have the Moon. And then we also have the Judgment card out here. Whatever this thing is that like recently came to an end, it's something that you've been wanting to essentially come to an end for quite some time now, is basically what I'm getting. And it kind of looks like it's finally happening. Yeah, it just kind of looks like it's finally happening. It's, gosh, it's as if you never thought you'd see this day, is like the best way that I could describe it, is that I'm seeing here. You thought you never see this day, where whatever this thing is, like, officially comes to an end. And like I said, Virgo, it seems like you're pretty happy about it. Again, I'm not entirely sure what this thing is that recently came to an end, so apply that to your specific situation and however it resonates, right, with you. But how does this person currently view this relationship? Okay, so we have the King of Pentacles, we have the Justice card, and then we also have the King of Cups. Okay, one second, hold on one second. My apologies, my child was calling me and I had to answer. But anyways, in regards to how this person is currently viewing this relationship with you, we do have the King of Pentacles to the Justice card, and then we also have the King of Cups out here. But the bottom of the deck, we do have the Queen of Pentacles to the 5 of Pentacles, and then we also have the 6 of Pentacles. I feel like this is your energy, Virgo. Okay, so Virgo, I want to focus on your energy very, very quickly, and then we'll jump over to this person's energy, so that way the reading in itself flows and it all makes sense, okay? So in regards to your energy, Virgo, it kind of looks like, especially with the 6 of Pentacles, the 6 of Pentacles is all about balancing things out and making things right. So it kind of looks like, in reference to your relationship, right, with this person, it looks like you've been trying to like balance things out and make things right between you and this person. But with the 5 of Pentacles coming out here, that's kind of, you know, telling me that you're deciding to not go down that route anymore, as far as like constantly trying to balance things out and make things right between you and this person. Look at the 5 of Pentacles as like a surrender energy, because that's just basically what it is. It's the epitome of giving up, right? Which is like the polar opposite of the 6 of Pentacles. So with that being said, it kind of looks like, as far as like you constantly trying to balance things out and make things right between you and this person, it kind of looks like you're deciding to no longer go down that route anymore, okay? A lot of you might find yourself essentially feeling like you've basically exhausted all your options when it comes down to balancing things out and making things right with this individual is concerned. I am definitely getting that, and I think that you're finding a lot of comfort in that, just knowing that like you've exhausted all your options and you did everything that you could, right, to try to like balance things out and make things right with this person. Now, for those of you who don't know this, the Justice card is basically the major arcana to like the 6 of Pentacles. So with that being said, With the Justice card coming out here for this person, it looks like this person wants to balance things out with you, Virgo, and make things right with you. Whoever this person is, somebody who's still very much so, you know, invested in you and what they were able to essentially establish with you thus far. And they're also very much so emotionally invested here. So these are the two things that are prompting, I would say, this person to try to come in and make things right with you. It has a lot to do with their emotional attachment, but it also has a lot to do with the fact that they have invested a lot into you in this dynamic, that they were able to essentially build with you thus far, and they wanted to essentially count for something, okay? Let's jump back over to you, my friend. How does Virgo currently feel? Okay, so with the Lovers coming out here, the Lovers, it can definitely represent a soulmate connection. It could definitely represent that, but I'm not saying that this person's not your soulmate. You know, there's a possibility that, of course, this person could totally be your soulmate. However, what I am definitely getting, because the Lovers, it could definitely represent a decision. It could definitely represent a decision. This could also, you know, indicate that you're being called, right, to basically do something, but it kind of looks like it's leaning far more towards a decision, okay? It kind of looks like you recently made a decision about this individual that feels right to you. In other words, this decision that you're choosing to essentially make in reference to this person doesn't feel like a mistake whatsoever. It actually feels like the right thing to do according to you and the energy that you're essentially harnessing. With the Eight of Wands coming out here, you're very, very determined to essentially see it through, you know, as far as this decision of yours is concerned, okay? You know, an Empress is somebody who's known for looking out for themselves, okay? Which there's nothing wrong with that, Virgo, but you are harnessing Empress energy. So you're basically harnessing the energy of wanting to do what you feel as though is best for you. Even if other people don't necessarily agree, even if other people don't necessarily like it, you're just simply looking out for you, in your best interest is basically what I'm getting. How does this person currently feel? So we have the Tower, we have the Two of Pentacles, and then we also have the World out here. So in regards to how this person is currently feeling, okay, it kind of looks like this person, this is kind of like the epitome of somebody feeling forced to let something come to an end or let something essentially close out, which I do believe it has a lot to do with you and their relationship with you. It kind of looks like they're kind of being forced at this point to just allow this entire situation to close out here, between you and them is basically what I'm gathering, Virgo. Let's look at the Two of Pentacles, though. Tell me more about the Two of Pentacles. Tell me more about the Two of Pentacles. All right, so we do have the Ten of Cups. Ugh. We also have the Ten of Wands to the Three of Swords out here. You know, this is kind of like the epitome of somebody turning around and giving you exactly what it is that you want. From the looks of it, it kind of looks like this entire situation between the two of you is done and over with. Of course, that's not necessarily what they want, but that's essentially what you want. Causing this person to fall into this energy of feeling forced to have to essentially let you go and everything that they've been able to essentially build with you thus far, okay? With the Three of Swords to the Ten of Wands coming out here, that's kind of telling me that this moment that's taking place between the two of you is kind of like hitting them like a ton of bricks, is like the best way that I could describe what they're feeling on their behalf. What actions will Virgo take towards this person or moving forward? Okay, Virgo, so we do have the Nine of Swords, which I do want to look into, and then we also have the Star, and then we also have the Magician. You know, the Star is all about following your true north, being on a path that Spirit essentially wants you on. But it's right next to the Magician, so that's kind of telling, yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this energy as well, because the Star, yeah, it could definitely represent like following your true north, being on the path that Spirit wants you on, but it could also represent like a wish being granted at the same exact time. So especially right next to the Magician, that's kind of telling me, once we look into this energy over here, Virgo, whatever does come out is essentially what you wanted. it's what you wanted, right? It's what you basically manifested into fruition here for yourself. This is a wish fulfillment of yours essentially coming true. It's something that you manifested into fruition that's finally coming into fruition. But the fact that we have the Nine of Swords out here, that's kind of throwing me off. Let's just focus on what it is that you actually manifested into fruition here. Or what it is that you asked for. Tell me more about the Magician to the Star. Okay. So we do have, we do have the Six of Cups, we do have the Ten of Wands, and then we also have the Wheel of Fortune. So Virgo, according to the energy that I'm seeing here, when it comes down to your relationship with this person, it kind of looks like things started to become a little bit too much for you, to the point where it did start to become extremely overwhelming, possibly even, you know, stressful. And it kind of looks like you wanted to essentially be free of the very thing that was weighing you down, the very thing that was stressing you out, the very thing that was creating massive burdens, right, in your life. And it kind of looks like that's finally being granted here, right? That you're being free from this entire situation, which is basically what you asked for. It's something that you asked for. It's something that you manifested into fruition here for yourself. Now let's look at the Nine of Swords. Tell me more about the Nine of Swords. Okay. So we have the Ace of Pentacles. We got the Three of Cups. Okay. And then we also have the Ten of Swords, Virgo. I'm gonna be honest, this to me just kind of feels like I'm gonna be honest, Virgo. I hate to say this, but yeah, I hate to say this, but I hate to say this, but I feel like the very thing that you wanted to essentially be removed out of your life is being removed out of your life. And now that it's being removed out of your life, you're kind of harnessing the energy of like, but wait, hold on. I don't know if I really want this to be removed out of my life, actually. You know what I mean? Like, it has that type of flavor to it, especially with the Nine of Swords to the Ten of Swords. That creates an Ace of Swords at play, which basically represents the sword of truth. It also represents clarity. It's like you go from thinking, okay, this is what I want. This is what I want. And now that you end up getting what it is that you essentially want, it's like you're falling into this energy of, oh, wait a minute, I don't know if that's what I want after all. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? All right, let's look at this human. What actions? Alrighty. So we have the Nine of Cups. We got the Six of Wands. And then we also have the Seven of Cups out here. Okay, hold on. Before I say anything, let me look at the Seven of Cups. Tell me more about the Seven of Cups. Okay, so we have the Knight of Swords to the Page of Swords to the Hermit. And then we also have the Hierophant. It's what you're saying and what you're doing. Okay, now that okay, so now it's starting to kind of make sense here. I should have well, then again, never mind. It's okay. It's what you're saying and it's what you're doing. So Virgo, okay, Virgo, this person goes from feeling extremely worried and concerned that this dynamic between the two of you is about to like officially come to an end, to not worried and concerned all of a sudden, to essentially feeling like they're going to end up getting the outcome that they essentially want. Going back to what I originally said, it looks like this person, you know, wanted, you know, to, you know, work things out with you, and it kind of looks like you were very hell-bent on, I don't want to do that, you know what I mean? Causing this person to just surrender, causing this person to just turn around and just throw their hands up and say, give, you know, and just give up and say, hey, Virgo, you win, right? And it's like, now that, like, I guess, like, I don't know if it's like reality starting to sink in on your end or what's going on, but like, it kind of feels that way, where it's like reality starting to kind of sink in, and it's like, yeah, all right, this dynamic, it's coming to an end. It's coming to an end, you know what I mean? And it's like you're kind of falling into this energy of, wait, I don't want to do that, you know what I mean? I don't want to do that, you know? It's what you're doing and saying that's leading this person to basically think like, all right, like, you know, Virgo's not done with me, you know what I mean? Which is bringing in that sense of, like, I would say relief into this person's life. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I am definitely getting that, Virgo. It just feels like you go from thinking you want something to then realizing, oh, wait a minute, I don't think I want that after all. Don't get me wrong, Virgo. I think that the reason why this is even happening on your behalf um, has a lot to do with you having many reasons, as to why maybe you shouldn't give up on them in this dynamic that the two of you share with one another. But you also have many reasons as to why you should. And you're battling both of these things at the same exact time. You see what I mean? And because you're battling both of these things at the same exact time, it's causing you to fall into an energy of indecisiveness. Because I just said this in somebody's reading not too long ago, but it would have been one thing if the bad outweighed the good in this entire situation. That's a fucking no-brainer. That's an easy decision to make when the bad starts to outweigh the good. But if the bad doesn't outweigh the good, and it's at the same level as the bad is, and vice versa, the good is, right? It makes things a little bit more challenging and difficult for a person to decide and make a decision, because you're not walking away from something that's all bad. You know what I mean? You're walking away from something that has its good moments and its bad moments. But if you were in a situation where you experienced nothing but bad out of this person, your relationship with this person, well then, that's a easy decision for you to make. But it doesn't look like, that's the type of dynamic that you have with this person. It's not all bad, but it's also not all good either. And this is why you're indecisive. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I think that there's a portion of you that wants out due to the bad that you experience within your relationship with this person. But the part that, still wants, you to continue to fight for this and make this work has a lot to do with the good aspects of this dynamic and what this person brings into your life. So, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean, Jelly Bean? But yeah, whatever it is that you're saying or doing, dude, it's I don't know, it's causing this person to feel maybe they're not really losing you in this dynamic that they share with you, but it's something that you're saying. It's something that you're doing. The thing is that your words are not matching. Your words are not matching up with your actions. Whatever it is that you're conveying to this person, it's not matching up with your actions. So it's for example, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you told this person that you're done with them, and you never want to see their face ever again in your life. Let's just say hypothetically you told this person this, you know what I mean? But you're constantly calling them left and right, texting them left and right. Hey, so what are you doing? Hey, can we hang out, tonight? Your actions are causing this person to basically think that you're not really done with them because your words are not matching up with your actions. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean, Jelly Bean? So I think that that's what's causing them to fall into that energy. You know what I mean? But the fact that you're telling this person, more than likely that you're done, it kind of looks like right here they're turning around and just accepting that, right? And just surrendering and just giving you what you want. Okay, you're done? Okay, cool. Here you go. You're done. All right, that's fine. Cool. You know what I mean? And it kind of looks like now that reality is starting to kind of sink in. You're kind of having second thoughts. Oh, wait a minute. I don't really think I want this to come to an end. And that's okay. It is what it is. I don't even think that this individual even wants this dynamic to come to an end any freaking way. So, then there's that, Virgo. I don't really think that you have anything to worry about. I don't think you have anything to worry about. I think that if you convey to this person, how you feel and stuff like that, and how possibly you want to work things out, I think that everything will work out in the end. But if not, I think that this person's going to just continue to have the mindset that it's just over until you give this person a reason to think otherwise. And the only thing that I was picking up on is something that you're saying, and it's something that you're doing that's leading them to think and believe you're not done. Which is your words not matching up with your actions. Okay. So that's what I have for you. Hopefully the reading helped. Hopefully it resonated, and I will see you guys in your next reading. Bye.